What is going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back with a brand new episode of Higurashi When They Cry. Wasabuon. We went to Sadako's home, and we found her in the bathtub about to boil to death because of her uncle. We tried to take her to Irie's clinic, but we found out that Irie had committed quote-unquote suicide, and we went to the Furude shrine, which we found Rika's dead body at. And right now, we just fell off the bridge. And also, there's something I have to preface first, all right? Because I don't want to lie to you guys. I already recorded this chapter, so I know what's going to happen in this chapter already. The video corrupted, the game, like my computer completely crashed, and there was no way to recover it. I tried, but I didn't. I saw pretty much the end of this chapter, but at least this gives me more perspective on it, or I don't know how to put this in a good way, because really this section of the video is not going to be blind because I've already seen it, but I can feelize a bit more, and I've been thinking a lot since the video got corrupted and all that shit, which really sucks. It really does suck, but what can you do? We can only just move forward. So yeah, research notes. Oyashiro-sama. Nobody really knows what characters to use to write Oyashiro-sama. Knowing this is hard, partially because depending on the time period, he has been called with various titles, with subtle changes to his name, and nobody knows the real one. The only thing all time periods agree on is that the full syllables O, Ya, Shi, and Wo are always used. There is a theory stating the shrine, or yashiro, dedicated to Oyashiro-sama itself became an object of worship, and that people began to call it Oyashiro-sama, or Ward Honorable Shrine, but this doesn't make a bit of sense. I don't know whether this is related, but people say the Furude family, the most respected bloodline in terms of worshipping Oyashiro-sama, actually inherited his blood. And in the legend, the Furude family passes down. If for 8 generations in a row the firstborn child is a girl, the 8th daughter will be the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. If we go by this legend, the characters used for Oyashiro-sama's name should be O for honorable, Ya for 8, and Sho for a generation. These character assignments are simply something I thought up. There is no way to verify it. If this is true, then Oyashiro-sama would have been named as such under the assumption he would come again. The second coming of an object of worship can be seen in several religions, so this is unusual. But a few of those religions call the second coming of their object of worship a day of judgment, or something along those lines. We must not forget they mean it to be the end of the world. Rika Furude, pampered and loved dearly by the elderly folk in the village. The rumors say she is the 8th generation Oyashiro-sama. I don't know the family tree of the Furudes, but at the very least I can confirm that for the past 2 generations, the first child has been a girl. Rika Furude watches over Hinazawa. If the village were to lose their protection, what would happen? Would peace between man and demon be lost? Would it once again create a hellish landscape where man-eating demons run rampant? A gruesome feast of the demons who suddenly remembered how delicious the weak humans were, who could only cry, scream, and run for their lives. What would that look like? Just imagining it is enough to make my heart pound with excitement. Still don't know who that notes are went by, even after. So yeah, let's continue. Also, I'm not going to try and spoil it for any new viewers who are watching this for the first time either. So I may be spoiled, but I'm not going to spoil you. My head was pounding. The sky was bright. It was cold too. It hurt. Each sensation I felt led to a new and different one awakening. When I came to, I was lying face first on a dry riverbed. A few body parts hurt a lot. The skin over a bunch of my joints were torn, turned blue, red, or oozing blood. I could tell it was my bones that were in pain from the agony I felt whenever I moved. I looked up and saw how high the bridge from which I had fallen was. Considering I dropped from there, it was a miracle that I could open my eyes again. Right next to me was a broken up, upside-down car seat, which I guess some pranksters had brought here. Maybe this thing had been conveniently laying right next to me, allowing me to escape instant death. Miraculous. Of course, I don't know whether this miracle is fortunate or unfortunate. I failed to die, and now I was still stuck in this insane world. How long had I been unconscious for? The sun was high in the sky, so it looked like only 1 or 2 hours had passed. but my body's sluggishness didn't make it feel at all like so short a time had gone by. Mentally, it felt like I'd been asleep here for a decade. The more feeling returned to my body, the more the pain flooded in. It hurt so much it would have been better not to have woken up. I needed to get to a doctor. Yeah, to Coach's clinic. The term Coach's clinic brought memories back one after another, memories I wish I hadn't recalled. Dadako was no longer on the bridge. She would have returned to Himizawa by now, and she would put on some clothes, go to the clinic, get a checkup, and report on how crazy I had seemed. The police were waiting for me without a doubt. This time, would they find out for real that I killed her uncle and arrest me, or would they just send me to a mental institution like I thought they might? Still, I didn't care which it was. Please, someone stop all this pain. You can boil me or cook me after that, whatever you want. I began to walk unsteadily, just limping along. I went downstream, and then through an animal trail-like path in the woods. I walked haphazardly, searching for a path I know. Eventually, I finally came across a familiar road and set off towards the clinic. Not to my house, but to the clinic, which had treated me like a lunatic. It was hot and humid. There was no wind, and the air was stagnant. For a while now, I've been smelling the terrible stench of burned eggs, and it made my face scrunch up. And then at last, I noticed something. I couldn't hear any cicadas. It was the first time I heard Himizawa be so utterly silent. When I thought back, it seemed like birds always chirped in the morning, cicadas always cried loudly in the afternoon, and Higurashi always rose up in the chorus in the evening. Always something to hear. I couldn't hear a single insect. The only thing I could hear was the rustling of the wind brushing the treetops. I'd never experienced this sort of quiet before. Even the only sound coming from the trees lacked life somehow. The trees were yellow and many leaves were spread on the ground, despite it being too early for autumn. Even the weeds that had been growing so persistently at the side of the road had yellowed, browned, and lost their vigor. Only the sunlight itself was of the June Himizawa I knew, and yet it seemed like the seasons had switched all of a sudden. Looking at the fallen leaves and rotting reeds led me to a spot a few small insects turned on their backs. They weren't moving. They were corpses. I looked closer to see insect corpses scattered all around, like a child had collected them as samples and then strewn them all about. This stench, what was it? It was terrible, like burned eggs, combined with all the bug corpses and leaves falling from the trees in summer. Had someone sprayed herbicides or pesticides around here? Even at school, we apparently fumigate, they call it pest disinfection or something, once or twice a year. I hadn't run into anybody, despite how bright it was outside. It was mid-afternoon, and yet it felt like I was sauntering about at midnight. Well, with this smell, nobody would want to be walking around outside. Just what was this anyway? There was no sound, no noise, not even a breath. Himizawa was silent. The school would come into view right after turning this corner, and yet I couldn't hear any commotion at all. None of the shouts or grunts that children always made. It was simply quiet. Just as pretending to ignore the silence, I'd grown intolerable, I saw the school. And finally I heard something. It was the sound of a few trucks. There were a few very tall trucks parked in the schoolyard, idling. About 10 workers in raincoats were unloading things from their trunks. It was hot and humid even in my casual clothing. Couldn't imagine how unbearable that must have been. And then I remembered. Our school was rented from the Forest Service field office building, wasn't it? It wasn't strange at all for Forest Service trucks to be doing some kind of work in the schoolyard. Besides, what did forest rangers do anyway? I felt bad for having to work in such heat and with such a stench about. They were talking colorful cargo out of the truck and lining it up in the schoolyard. They were containers, fairly large ones, inside multicolored patchwork bags. Heavy, too. They were being carried in pairs. They lined them up very neatly, like tuna at a riverside fish market. Several dozens, hundreds of tuna were completely filling the fairly wide schoolyard up. I forgot my pain for a little while, captivated by this big forest ranger job I'd never seen before. As I stood there watching in a daze, the people in raincoats working on the other side noticed me. One of them pointed me out and they shouted a few things back and forth. I thought they might yell at me for getting in their way, so I decided to leave post-haste. But then 2 trucks drove up behind me. I stepped aside and they entered the schoolyard. Sheets covered their trucks, but I could tell they were completely full. As they passed, there was an awful smell that made me want to choke. It wasn't the same burnt egg smell as before, but an even worse one, like raw crab meat. What on earth was it? I've been enshrouded in one terrible stench all after another all day. Then certain white leathers and boys and on the side of the passing trucks caught my eye. Ground Self-Defense Forces. What? Self-Defense Forces? Like the army? Why was the army in the schoolyard?
Oi, Kimi. どこから入ってきた?
Suddenly, someone swept me on the shoulders from behind. I turned around and a Canopy SDF Jeep was parked there. The SDF person had on a green raincoat and a gas mask, like in the movies, carrying a compressed air cylinder. He didn't look normal. There wasn't an inch of exposed skin anywhere.
どこから入ってきた?
When I tried to talk, I stretched a wound on my head. It had made the SDF people exchange glances. I couldn't see their faces through their mask, but they seemed surprised.
君はひなみ様の住民か? 住所と名前は言えるか?
一応ここに住んでますけど、名前は前原圭一です。あ、住所は鹿骨市ひなみ沢村。
After seeing me tell them my name and address without hesitation, one of the SDF people watching from the Jeep started talking to a radio.
本部、応答願います。本部、応答願います。402生存者発見。繰り返す。402生存者発見。場所は営林署入り口前。
This is base, we copy. Secure the survivor at once. What is his status?
生存者は健在。全身に外傷を認められるも生命に支障なし。自立歩行可能。これより保護し本部へ送致します。
I was prepared to go along with the police, but the SDF couldn't help but think it seemed a bit much. They urged me into the back of the Jeep. Look, I may have killed an uncle, but sending the army? Come on, guys. And then they told me to put on this gigantic gas mask. I did so, and one of the troops fiddled around with it, strapping it tightly to me. It was heavy, hard to see out of, hot, and difficult to breathe. Just looking at the world through the lenses made it lose its sense of reality. My breathing sounded like some giant monster through the mask. At this point, I had no idea what was happening. With much trepidation, I asked the trooper adjusting my mask.
すみません。何かあったんですか?
君はどこにいたんだ? 何をしていたんだ?
Hey, don't answer a question with more questions. I was the one asking you.
ずっと山に入ったところにある吊り橋から落っこちて、河原で多分気絶してました。今日が何曜日かもよくわからないです。
今日は昭和58年の6月22日。水曜日だ。
That surprised me. Sadako pushed me off the bridge on Tuesday, the 21st. That meant I'd been asleep on that riverbed for an entire day.
改めて聞きますけど、何があったんですか? なんで自衛隊が来てるんです? 何かの訓練ですか?
Had my question been that difficult for him? None of the troopers would answer me. Still don't know why it goes into this type of what do you call this, like screen? It's weird. The one in the driver's seat talking on his own radio turned on the vehicles. He turned the dial and some broadcast station or another came in. I started to listen to the voice of a radio announcer I was familiar with.
より首相官邸で行われました。記者団からの自衛隊の災害出動が迅速に行われなかったことが前例のない未曾有の大災害に直結したのではないかとの質問に対し、奥野官房長官は次のようにコメントしました。
でありまして、県知事からの派遣要請を受けて迅速に対応したものと思っております。
とこのように述べ、 要請を受けてからの自衛隊の出動は迅速であった。むしろ県側の事態把握に遅れがあった可能性を示唆しました。そもそも自衛隊の派遣を要請した県知事は、災害発生から前例のない大災害であることをいつ認識できたのか、そして災害派遣要請までにいわゆるお役所的なロスタイムが生じ、被害の拡大を招いたのではないか、今後の究明が待たれています。首相官邸より報道部の尾形記者がお送りしました。さて、ここでもう一度災害発生からの行政の対応を振り返ります。
In the middle of the night between June 21st and June 22nd, a large-scale disaster broke out in Himizawa village, Ishimura. The details have not yet been investigated, but there was an eruption of volcanic gas from somewhere in the Himizawa area. The gas was relatively heavy, and as it spewed out, it began to flow. That flow went down along a small river and headed directly into Himizawa village. After a few hours, it had covered the entire region. It happened in the middle of the night, 2 to 4 a.m. Every home and household in the village was afflicted. With most of the residents asleep, it is thought that all died without noticing the crisis. The catastrophe striking in the middle of the night caused its detection to come too late. But there was still one small opportunity to have noticed it. 3 a.m. The news dealer's shop in Okayama sent a vehicle carrying the morning newspaper to its branch office in Himizawa. Usually the shop would be contacted upon the vehicle's arrival, but this morning that didn't happen. The news dealer's shop made repeated calls but got no response. The shopkeeper sent his eldest son to check on things, but they lost contact with him as well.
非常に悔やまれています。この時点で警察か消防への連絡があったなら、事態はもっと改善されていた可能性が高いでしょう。少なくとも村全滅という惨劇は免れた可能性があります。
6 a.m. Residents in areas in the same region began continuously calling 119 to report a smell of rotten eggs, dizziness, nausea, and headaches. The fire department received the same reports, all from the same confined region. They speculated a truck loaded with chemicals may have gotten into an accident and reported to the local police. 6:30 a.m. Contact was lost with a patrol car on duty in the Himizawa area after the officer reported the smell of rotten eggs. The local police considered the possibility of a large-scale disaster involving highly lethal gas and reported it to the prefecture and prefectural police at 7:15 a.m. 8 a.m. The governor was traveling to nearby prefectures for inspection, so in accordance with regulations, the prefectural environmental disaster prevention chief was provisionally escalated to Director General and set up a disaster countermeasures office. However, without contacting the governor, the countermeasures came too late.
近年市民団体によって指摘されていますが、議員待遇者との視察旅行は完全に親睦を目的にしたもので、主演三昧だと噂されています。近い筋の話では、知事は徹夜で飲んだくれて泥酔状態で就寝していたそうです。環境部長から電話があった時も泥酔していて、全く取り合ってもらえなかったのだそうです。
And so the authorities, in the hour or so it took for the governor to grasp the situation and sober up, did nothing but accumulate information.
知事は言うに及びませんが、知事不在時には本部長を務めることになる環境部長にも怠慢の責任が問われるでしょう。また、県としても大災害を想定したマニュアルが用意されておらず、対応が常に後手に回ってしまったのが致命的でした。
9:12 a.m. On the advice of the prefectural police, the governor requested a disaster relief mission from the SDF. By the time the chemical defense unit, equipped with protective equipment, arrived on the scene, 8 hours had already passed since the incident's outbreak.
とにかく深夜の就寝中というのが不運でした。同じ災害でも日中に起こっていれば全く違ったでしょう。
All households in the Himizawa village region were wiped out. There were over 1,000 victims. The SDF is still confirming the situation on the ground, but the results are predicted to only increase that number.
スタジオにはゲストとして火山性の災害にお詳しい地学博士の藤原先生にお越しいただいております。先生、このような恐ろしい毒ガスが突然湧き出すようなことはあるのでしょうか。
火口部に限定して申し上げれば決して珍しいことではありません。火山大国日本にはたくさんの活火山がありますが、 それらの加工部はいずれも危険なガスの噴出する危険性があり、一般登山者も加工部周辺には立ち入らないのが一般的です。
では今回ひなみ沢村を襲った卵のフラン臭のするガスというのも加工部では一般的なガスということですか？
卵のフラン臭という特徴から、おそらく火山ガスの中でも事故例の多い硫化水素によるものだと考えられます。高い濃度であれば非常に危険なものです。
ひなみ沢村は火山の火口部とは全く縁遠い場所にあるわけですが、そういった火口部でない場所にもその硫化水素が発生することがあるのでしょうか？
詳しいことが分かっていないので、まだはっきりとしたことは申し上げられませんが、外国の例で温泉の地下のマグマだまりからガスが噴出したという記録があります。極めて希少な例ですが、必ずしも火口部でなくても発生の可能性はあるということです。
先生、ありがとうございました。今防衛庁から発表があった模様です。防衛庁の森川さん。
はい、防衛庁です。先ほど防衛庁はひなみ沢村ガス災害の主原因となった火山性ガスについて、陸上自衛隊科学学校での分析の結果、二酸化炭素と硫化水素の混合ガスによるものだったと発表しました。
森川さん、そのガスは依然として噴出を続け、周囲に拡大しているのでしょうか？
現在ひなみ沢村で救助活動に入っている自衛隊第9師団の報告として、ガスの濃度は徐々に薄まりつつある、これ以上の被害の拡大はないと発表しました。ですが依然ひなみ沢村地区は危険な状態にあることには変わりなく、今後も注意深く監視を続ける必要があるようです。
防衛庁から報道部の森川記者がお伝えしました。続きまして、避難を余儀なくされている沖宮地区住民の模様をリポートします。現在避難所の一つとなっている下篠崎小学校に報道部の現地記者がお伝えいたします。
何ですかそれ？
Inside the jeep, scrambling, bouncing along the rough road, none answered my muttered question. An unprecedented catastrophe had destroyed Himisawa in a single night? Where was Himisawa village anyway? Some place deep in the mountains, right? Names of places I heard about on the radio were always like that. They were all places I never heard of, much less knew the locations of. Wiped out? What does that mean? Don't they usually say how many died and how many were injured? How many people were alive? Where did everyone evacuate to? Eventually, we came into view of Coach's clinic. For the first time, I saw the flag of Japan hanging on a pole outside. Japan's circular sun hung down as though exhausted. Many SDF tents were set up in the clinic's big parking lot, and many strict security vehicles were parked there as well. When they saw the jeep coming, men in white clothing and gas masks came running out of the clinic, frantic, carrying a stretcher.
もう大丈夫だよ。具合は歩けるかい？
歩けます。あいてて。
And because of my owls, they forced me to lay in the stretcher anyway. People who seemed like doctors were looking at me and notifying others of my condition via radio.
外傷多数、骨折もしくは内臓損傷の可能性大、頭部に大きな裂傷、瞳孔正常、眼底に出血なくも脳内損傷の可能性は否定できず。
And then, from the clinic entrance, people lying on stretchers were brought outside to replace me. Judging by their clothing, they were from Himisawa, and that's how I knew they were victims. They brought the stretchers in front of a truck. Two troops holding shoulders and legs like some kind of baggage picked them up and threw them into the trunk. In the trunk of the truck, people's bodies piled in heaps. They were just baggage, and they told me they were nothing but shells. At that moment, I remembered all those colorful sacks filling the trunks and then wind up in the schoolyard like a fish market. Hundreds of empty shells, corpses, 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 corpses.
バカ！犠牲者を粗末に扱うな。彼は村の住民だぞ。
The troops carrying the sacks answered with a humble salute. The world didn't need this insane version of Himizawa. My final wish again. It was granted. I didn't understand anything anymore. None of it mattered. I wished, I cursed, and then it happened the next day. Then please, tomorrow morning, let me die. That insane night, it's still going on. Please, please end it already.
Oi, 意識が損失したぞ。患者の名前を呼びかけろ。早く。
前原君、聞こえるかい？聞こえるなら瞬きでいいからしてくれ。前原君、前原君、前原君。
Suddenly, the world didn't matter to me anymore. I wasn't interested in their cries.
呼吸が停止したぞ。気道確保。人工呼吸。絶対に生かせ。畜生、畜生。もうこれ以上死者はごめんだぞ。死んでもいい命なんかないんだ。殺すな、殺すな。
I could hear the voice of a man crying and screaming in my ears. Nobody deserves to die. Those words came from his heart. They were so commonplace, and they soaked into my heart too. Maybe it was a mistake to take someone's wife, even if it was to save Sadako. If this is the price I had to pay, this horrible tragedy, then this is a little much, Oyashiro-sama. Why did you never punish me? Come to think of it, Sadako said something. Oyashiro-sama's actual curse never goes for the target at first, but kills everyone they love before that. Oyashiro-sama's curse. It was a convenient excuse I told myself at the very end, that it wasn't my curse that destroyed it, but Oyashiro-sama's. Given that I was in a stretcher, this next bit might have been obvious, but last of all, I realized one thing. Yeah. Today, I had not heard those footsteps following me, even once. And now, I was liberated. As the cries of the Higurashi I could have been hearing filled my mind, their tearful ensemble was the only funeral march I had. June 22nd, 1983, early morning. A widespread disaster occurred in Himizawa Village, Shishiborin Prefecture. Volcanic gas, carbon dioxide, and hydrate sulfate erupted from Onkofuchi Swamp, one of the Himizawa area's water sources, and spread throughout the entire village. There were 1,200 victims. 20 have gone missing. The catastrophe was unprecedented, forcing local governments to evacuate approximately 600,000 people. According to later investigations, magma pools and hot springs were uncovered directly under Onkofuchi Swamp, and the gas that gushed from it was determined to be the cause of the disaster. In addition, directly after the incident broke out, many came forth claiming this disaster was a curse based on Himizawa village legends, first sparking a wave of chaos. There were apparently local legends of a curse spreading a miasma, destroying the village, and some scholars believe a similar gas disaster may have happened in the past and remained part of these legends. More extreme periodicals suggested that this was an extension of the string of freak death incidents that had been happening in recent years in Himizawa Village, stirring interest and theories about this curse of Oyashiro-sama. In addition, relatives of those in Himizawa Village who had escaped the disaster complained of sickness afterwards and were hospitalized. Some of them even died of unknown causes, further encouraging such extreme opinions. On top of that, several relatives professing to be possessed by Oyashiro-sama's curse committed suicide in strange ways. And the impact the disaster has had on the entire nation can no longer be ignored. Wild visions of terrible toxic gas sneaking around in the middle of the night, killing people spilled across the country, causing a steady stream of people complaining of insomnia, difficulty breathing, headache, dizziness, etc. Some who identified themselves as being obsessed by it began doing odd things. Most of these were mistakenly attributed by the tabloid press. But afterwards, some even began to call the mental issues arising from the Himizawa tragedy the Himizawa syndrome. The Himizawa village region, the object of all kinds of rumors and speculation, is currently closed off, but even flying overhead is prohibited. The prohibition was at one point undone as a result of decreasing the gas's density, but that autumn another gas burst was confirmed, leading to the area being cordoned off again. Word is that the area is sound asleep, all traces of its former wife intact and left to rot. Only one survivor remains, Kechi Marubara, age, who lived at Himizawa village. At the time of the rescue, he had some trouble breathing due to fluid buildup in his lungs, but as a result of life-saving procedures, he was kept alive. He is currently in the general hospital somewhere in the prefecture. The press have been asking for him for some time, but all interviews are being refused. What did he see in Himizawa? What happened between June 21st and June 22nd in Himizawa village? Today he remained silent, unwilling to speak of it. And this is the point where the game... Well, it happened like in the middle of the credits rolling. Here. Alright. So I can finally read these. Takano, strangled to death in the mountains. Oshi, still missing. Airi, suicide, possible murder. Is that like backwards? What's with the text like under the like thing? Uena, dead. Neon, dead. Oryu, Sadako. Sadako went missing. I didn't notice that. Hojo went missing. Both Kechi's parents dead. Che... accident. Fuin, Kameda, Kansai. Shion committed suicide. That's very interesting. At the victim's hospital. Tet did suicide. It's fatal mental disorder. Okay, now I can talk about this. Alright? So this is like during like the credits, the game crash, like after this. I haven't even seen the after party yet, so we're good on that. So this is a very interesting ending. This is very unique from any other ending we've seen so far. This is, so far, in my opinion, the worst ending for literally everybody. Like, hell, even for the entire nation of Japan. You know, for this Himizawa syndrome type thing. So now the question is, was this actually volcanic gas? Or was this a direct attack by the director's organization or whoever's behind the fucking scenes to like wipe out the entire town of Himizawa for some reason? Who knows why? Maybe because but why would they do that? If the organization behind everything would just wipe out Himizawa like that, why would they do that? Oh, what's this? June 2003? What? I haven't seen this. What the fuck is... Okay, this is new. Alright. An elderly couple living in Osaka Prefecture discovered a cassette tape while organizing the possessions of their son who passed away 8 years ago. Their son went missing when his fishing boat capsized in 1995. He was 47 at the time of his death. 8 years later, in 2003, they had begun to organize their son's remains in order to organize their minds and came across the cassette tape in question. Hey, 2003, I was... during that year I was born. What is this? From 1975 to 1989, the deceased had experience working as a journalist for a photography periodical, and this tape is thought to have been created during that time. The label on the tape read 11/28/1983 Kechi Marubara. Is this like an interview with Kechi? It is thought the tape was recorded during an interview with Kechi Marubara, the only survivor of the Great Himizawa disaster that occurred in June of 1983. As the only person who lived through the disaster on the night of June 21st, shrouded in mystery, many interested parties attempted to question him, but he never once spoke physically to anyone in a public space. Therefore, the tape caused quite a stir, possibly being of extremely high value. What was on it? Quick.
なんだか録音されてると思うとすごく喋りにくいですね。
気にしない気にしない。ほら、こうすれば録音してるのも気にならないでしょ。
After this, the sound quality dramatically decreases. Did he cover the recording device or something?
じゃあ始めるね。まず最初の質問から。圭一君はあの大災害の夜どこにいたのかな。
神社から裏に抜けてずっと林道を進んで吊り橋があるんですよ。山に入る少し前にそこから落ちて気を失ってました。
Still lying, huh?
それは大災害の夜、つまり21日から22日にかけての深夜のこと？
いいえ、21日の火曜日の朝です。それで次の日の昼間に目を覚ましたわけですから。一日。
どうしてそんなところに？誰もが持つ疑問だけど、当日は平日で、しかも落ちた橋は君の家と学校からは大きく離れているよね。ざっくばらんに言って、君が大災害の発生を事前に知っていて、村から逃げる途中に吊り橋から落ちたんじゃないかっていう声もあるんだけど。
冗談じゃないです。勝手なことを言わないでください。
私も随分ひどい言い分だと思うよ。気を悪くしないでね。さて、次に圭一君が落ちたという吊り橋なんだけど、地図で言うとここだよね。神社の裏から林道を抜けて至る吊り橋というのは。
多分、俺もあんまり行かないところなので自信はないですが。
そんなに行かないところにどうして平日の朝に行ったのか疑問。それでこの君が気絶していたという河原なんだけど、実はそれはありえないという噂は知っているかい？
Possible.
ありえない。
Oh.
またありえないですか。まだ
For a little while, Ketchimarbo mutters the word impossible several times.
どうしてありえないと？
火山ガスが発生したのは鬼ヶ淵という沼なのは知ってるよね。それで学者の先生が緻密な模型を使ってシミュレーションをしたら興味深いことが分かったんだってさ。例の火山ガスってのは空気よりも重いらしくて、地形に沿って低いところへ低いところへ流れ込む水みたいな性質があるんだってさ。それで発生源の鬼ヶ淵沼からそういうガスが噴出し、どれくらいの時間をかけて村を覆うのか実験がされたんだ。そしたらさ、君が気絶していたという河原、流れ込むんだよ、ガスが。
よく言ってる意味がわからないんですが。
つまり君が本当にこの河原で気絶していたなら、君は丸一晩猛毒の火山ガスの中にいたことになるんだよ。だからつまり君がここで気絶をしていた可能性は否定されたわけさ。もっとざっくばらんに言うよ。私はね、君が嘘をついているんじゃないかなって思うんだ。君は大災害の時、安全なところに身を潜めていて、ガスが薄れた頃合いを見計らって村に現れて自衛隊の人に保護された。どうかな？図星かな？
For a short time, the journalist presses Ketchimarbo further in a teasing way, but all that can be heard are heavy sighs.
別に仮にそうだったとしても、俺
驚かないとはどういう意味だい？
Was this recording really taken
あんたも
Ketchimarbo?
さっき言いましたよね。
Some harbor suspicions. Oh shit, what?
ありえないって。あのひなみ沢ではありえないことなんていくらでも起こるんです。 死んだはずの人が生きてる。そんなこと、珍しいことじゃないんですよ。まさか、俺自身が死んだはずなのに生きているってやつを立証しようとはね。
The journalist and Ketchumara both laughed for a while. To verify its authenticity, the others in the Marlborough family checked.
話を変えるよ。
Let me read this. To verify its authenticity, the others in the Marlborough family checked the tapes with his voice in it. However, the sound was not clear and much time has passed, so relatives I checked with couldn't remember what he sounded like. I was unable to gain positive proof that it was actually his voice. Fucking doubles again. Doppelgangers again. People who are supposed to be dead but are alive. Chapter 2, same thing happened fucking the end of chapter 2 when Chino was thrown off the balcony by Mion. What the fuck?
あの大災害がひなみ沢連続開始事件の5年目のたたりではないかという話についてはどう思う？
いや、それはないですね。5年目のたたりは俺ですから。
え？何のこと？
何のことって、あんたの話に対する答えですよ。
That's also a
あの
name.
大災害は、まあ、言っても信じないでしょうけど、
That's also a main regarding the date, November 28th, when on the tape.
俺が起こしたんです。俺がね、こんな村、丸ごと死んじまえって願ったから起こったんです。
そりゃ豪快な話だね。
豪快？そういう面白い言い方もあるんですね。高野さんも俺が殺したし、監督も大石も俺が殺した。
After Maribara Akechi's failed suicide attempt on a certain August day, 2 months after the disaster, he was diagnosed with a mental disorder and transported to a treatment facility.
あの時の俺にはね、何か神がかり的な力が宿ってたんですよ。そう。例えるなら、足音かな。
足音？って、なんだいそれ。
あんた、足音を聞いたこともないんですか？ペタペタ、ひたひた。あんたも今日からは歩いてるとき、不意に立ち止まってみると面白いですよ。
The facility never allowed any news coverage, so it's extremely unlikely that a tape from the media dated after August 1983 would have his voice on it.
それでね、自分がちゃんと立ち止まったにもかかわらず、足音が一つ余計に聞こえたなら、気をつけた方がいいですよ。
そうだね。気をつけるようにするよ。
そんなに俺、面白いこと話してますか？あんた、さっきからヘラヘラと笑ってばかりですね。
However, the reporter had been criticized for his forceful methods of collecting data while he was active, so there is still a possibility that he broke into the facility and forced Ketchumara to talk.
監督と同じだ。俺のことを同情したり、話を聞いたりしてるふりをしながら、その実、 人のことを異常者扱いしてる目だ。
そんなことはないよ。
いや、俺にはわかるんです。あんたの目は監督と同じだ。あの日以来、もう足音は聞こえない。
Is this truly Kechi Marbo's voice? The authenticity of this recording is still wrapped in mystery.
だから俺にはもう、あんな恐ろしい力は残ってないだろうけど、今ここでもう一度、あんたの死を願ってみるよ。俺に不愉快な話ばかりをする、あんたの死を。そうだな。今回は一つ、死に方も決めてみようかな。
I swear to God, if he says capsizing the fishing boat.
高野さんは焼け死にだったか
Oh
な。
my God.
じゃああんたは逆に水だ。
Oh, motherfucker.
水に溺れて死ぬってのはどうだい？絶好調だった当時の俺なら、次の朝までには必ず死んでる。
15 years after this tape was created, the reporter, just as Kechi Marbo had predicted, died in an accident out on the sea.
さてあんたは何日後に水で死ぬかな？あんたも気をつけろよ。俺ごときにたたり殺されるな。
The recording ends in the middle of Kechi Marbo's laughter. And Kechi Marbo wait on the night of November 30th, 1983, 2 days after the interview, he suddenly died from a high fever, cause unknown. Records remain of his strange words he kept giving after pressing the call button the day before he died. An extra...
足音がまた一つ余計に。
What the fuck do I make of that? That's the fucking tagline of this entire like game series. Is what the fuck do I make of that? New scenario. Okay. Before we go to the review session, I wanna discuss what we just got through. So, coincidence, conspiracy, or curse? Okay, let's go over some things. Kechi being able to predict people dying, and it actually happened. First, fucking Takano died. Then Oshi disappeared. Then Irie died. And then he wished for this crazy, insane world to end, and well, in a sense it did. Himizawa was wiped off the face of the map, quite literally. Nearly every single person connected to Himizawa was either dead, committed suicide, or went missing. Was this just some interpretation by Kechi? Maybe it was truly a lucky guess. Maybe because he said those things. Maybe it truly did happen. Maybe it is supernatural. Maybe this time around in this timeline, Oyashiro-sama decided, why not the curse be Kechi himself? Whatever he decides will happen. He wants Sadako's uncle to die. What had happened? Well, actually, except for that particular wish. Because Sadako's uncle... Actually, we never did find out what happened to Sadako's uncle, did we? It's probably at the end of the credits scene, which I have to go back on because it went for a lot of names. Actually, no, I think it said Teppei Hoijo went missing, or he died trying to escape the gas. So because Oshiro-sama couldn't grant Kechi's wish to kill Sadako's uncle, he let him decide everything else. Or, it was just inside Kechi's head. He just made all those things, and just pure coincidence that it all took place one after another. Pure coincidence. Or maybe it was conspiracy. Maybe the organization was listening in on Kechi's, thoughts or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. It decided to do it just to mess with him. I never wish we could to die either. Just something. And let's go over with the extra set of footprints as well. That's very important. Because it could be two things. One, complete hallucination on Kechi's part. The footprints represent the guilt he had over killing Sadako's uncle. It represented the guilt he felt. That he was always being watched over the guilt of Sadako's uncle's death. Even though he never thought of it in his main consciousness, maybe in his subconscious he felt guilty of it. Or two, maybe it was actually someone following him. Someone trying to follow him for some reason. Because I remember specifically chapter 1 when we also heard a pair of footprints right behind Kechi as well. Chapter 1 specifically. I remember that so well. So it really could be a hallucination on Kechi's part. And that thing of the fucking... Impossible. What is truly impossible in Himizawa? Nothing. With the other two chapters, I could I really come up with anything at the end of the other two chapters? I really couldn't. With this chapter in particular, I can't come up with anything either. You know what? Let's check out the review session. Maybe that can actually help me out, because it usually does. Let's go check it out.
この度も日暮の泣く頃に睡たたり殺しを最後までお楽しみいただき誠にありがとうございました。これまでのシナリオとは少し違う雰囲気でお送りしましたがいかがだったでしょうか。お楽しみいただけたなら幸いです。
今回も胸のすくようなバッドエンドだったわね。私個人としては大災害が実際に起こった時の惨劇の描写も欲しかったところだけど、みんなの感想も同じかし。
そんなわけありませんでしたよ。またしても大バッドエンドあれれ、バッドエンドって割にはみーちゃんは楽しそうだね。
っていうかもう笑うしかないってのが本音でしょうね。
なははは。毎回嫌な割り方がエスカレートすると思ったらとうとうここまで行き着いちゃったわけですからね。
What do everybody does? Everyone's dead. Fuck you.
みんな仲良しで死んじゃったのですよ。
That's a way to put it.
仲良しなのです。ニパ
そういう見方もあるのかな。毎回死んでる僕はもうごめんだな。た まには死なずにエンドを迎えたいね。
No, we gotta have a concept, Tomoke. Sorry.
富武さんって時報みたいな役割なんですよね。
Exactly.
富武さんが死んだら、あ、後半戦突入だみたいな。
さて、ではここで今回の会合に改めてご参加いただく皆さんです。拍手でお迎えください。まずは監督こと入江京介さん。
ご紹介に預かりまして光栄です。どうもどうも。脇役だったわけですが、トータルで見てみるとかなり美味しい役だったなぁなんて思ってます。
Truly.
本当ですわね。脇役にしては出番もセリフも多すぎで、しかもキャラが強すぎましたよ。
今後どれだけ出番があるかは分かりませんが、その説は応援よろしくお願いしますね。
ありがとうございました。では次に我らが担任、知恵ルミ子先生。
皆さんどうもこんにちは。いろいろと登場シーンもあったのですが、今回カレー勝負で目立つシーンをいただきまして、カレーをバカにする人は許せません。ええ。
誰もバカになんてしていませんよ。あ、知恵先生に席を空けてあげてください。
さて、これでとりあえず全員揃ったね。レナ、また乾杯をよろしくね。
では皆さん、各卓のコップをお持ちになってください。お飲み物はいろいろありますよ。
本当にお疲れ様会も賑やかになりましたね。今何人ぐらいいるんです？
私たちを加えて多分10人くらいはいると思います。
未成年人と成年人の人数比がこれでやっと互角かな。
Perfectly balanced.
これで胸を張ってアルコールが飲めるね。
ビールってなんで冷えてるとあんなに美味しいのに、ぬるくなるとあんなにまずくなるのかしら。七不思議の一つよね。
なんででしょうね。
さあビールを継ぎますよ。12345あれ、大人は6人でしたっけ？
みー僕も泡麦茶がいいのです。リカちゃんもお酒はダメ。
It's pure whiskey. Pure Jack Daniels.
ではレ
Made in
ナさん、
Tennessee.
そろそろお願いします。
Just to see Wika taking fucking shots of fucking Jack Daniels. Oh, there's gotta be like some like fan art of that. It's way too funny of an image to just imagine fucking taking shots. Oh god.
はいはい、皆さんご清聴ですわよ。では皆さん、日暮らしの泣く頃に水たたり殺し、本当にお疲れ様でした。
Thank God I've never have to pronounce these chapter titles because I know I would fuck it up.
乾杯。せーの、
乾杯。Yay! Clap, 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 clap. It's a lot of claps.
さ て。では毎回恒例の今回のシナリオ議論でもやってみますかね。
とは言ったものの、今回のシナリオもケムに巻かれっぱなし。
I think this might be the most like confusing chapter, to be perfectly honest with you, because like, I mean, did we really get answers? What really happened in this chapter was like we gained more insight into Sayako as a character and her horrible fucking family, and Ketsuki murdered a person, and a gas released and killed everyone in the village, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
意見のある方は挙手をお願いしますね。
お、みんな慎重。挙手ないね。
じゃあ私が先陣を切ろうかしら。
Perfect icebreaker.
申し訳ないんだけど音楽を変えてもらってもいいかしら。もう少しミステリアスな感じの。
There's that music.
ああ、これがいいわね。
ムードが出まくりなのです。では高野さんお願いします。
多分ね、たたり殺しのシナリオだけを吟味しても謎は解けないんじゃないかと思うの。
そりゃ同感だね。ここまで物語が重なればそういう仕掛けがあることは明白だしね。
そんな仕掛けありましたかしら。
これが正しい例かはわからないけど、鬼隠しで前原くんが大石さんとレストランで食事をして、それが園崎さんに知られていて不思議だったってくだりがありますよね。
鬼隠しだけだと実に不思議な出来事ですけど、綿流しを読めば別に不思議でも何でもないことがわかります。
Yeah.
劇中の私が入ったレストランは園崎系列の店だったということですね。
Yeah, most likely it was probably Shion that said it to me on.
園崎一族はこの辺りの飲食店やら何やらを経営しているわけですから。
で、ケイちゃんの顔を知る者があの店にいて、それを私に伝えたと考えれば比較的筋は通るでしょ。そういうことだね。
日暮の物語は微細に異なる場所もありますけど、大筋の設定においては多分4つのシナリオは共通していると思います。例えばキャラクター設定。
鬼隠しのレナは怖い人だけど、それは鬼隠しだけの設定ということじゃなくて、レナはレナで4つのシナリオに全く変わらない設定で出演しているということですね。
全く変わらない設定というのは同感。
Yeah.
僕がどのシナリオでも常に同じ場所で同じ死に方をするのはその最たるものだね。
Yeah, I'm still kind of pissed off. I really haven't done anything. I just keep dying, guys. Come on.
どんな物語になっても必ず同じ日に死にますですよ。
綿流し編でお祭りの最中に高野さんと富武さんが西宮殿に忍び込むというシーンがありますけど、あのシーンも他のシナリオでは描かれなかっただけで起こったことになってるのかもしれませんね。
Yeah, that's what I've been theorizing.
なっているそうです。綿流し当日のお天気や部活の内容、聡子のおじさんの帰宅など、いくつかのイベントを除けばほとんどが共通するそうです。
だとすると新しい疑問がいくつか湧きますね。全く同じ環境で語られる物語なのに、なぜああも違う物語に派生するのか。
That is a great question. What differentiates them so much? What makes them, like, I want to say like each story is like a different timeline. Like, just makes it's helpful for me personally. If every story, you know, takes place in different timelines, what exactly sets them apart? What is the like point of no return? Because there are still consistence throughout each story. Tomiki always dies. There's, well, let's just say, okay, there's always a murder. Kechi almost dies in every single one so far. And, or either that or go insane. And that's two. Is there a third one? The one at Gagashi happens. Always happens. The one at Gagashi always happens. That's a pretty, like, most common thing so far between all three chapters.
一般的なサスペンスアドベンチャーの視点で考えると、物語が派生する分岐点が存在したってことになりますね。
綿流しで言うと、お姉に人形を渡した、あるいは渡さなかったというあたり。あんな序盤の選択肢1個でバッド確定とは恐ろしい選択肢だね。
ではたたり殺しに話を戻しますと、この場合ですと叔父を殺そうと決意するあたりですかしら。
私はずっとそれ以前、
Yeah.
同居人の女性がトラブルで失踪して叔父がひなみ沢に帰ってくることになったあたりから
That's what
もう分岐しちゃってると思うわね。
So when the uncle returned to Himizawa, that's when the timelines diverged. Truly.
では一番最初の鬼隠しの分岐はどこなのですか？
やはり劇中の私が登場してOyashiro-samaのたたりに関する連続開始事件のことを話すあたりからだと思いますね。
Yeah.
今思ったんですけれど、ちゃんと圭一さんがミオンさんの気持ちを理解して、それで大石さんも私のおじさんも現れなかったら何も起こらずに平和に過ごせるってことなんじゃありませんの？
That's what Kechi wanted. What if these things didn't happen? What if they truly didn't happen, you know? What if Kechi gave it all to Mion? What if Oshi never went to Kechi? What if, you know, the uncle never went to Himizawa? You know, those are the questions. You know, what would have happened then? Would it have truly been a peaceful time? Or would it have all happened the same, even without these things happening? Would there still be a murder? I think so. I think the curse would have happened either way, even if Kechi did give the doll to Mion, Oshi-san didn't appear, and the uncle and us. Well, I feel like the murder would have still happened to Tomoki. But, you know.
へえ。聡子にしちゃ本質ズバリじゃないのよ。確かに言えて
る。じゃあこの暗い物語は大石さんとおじさんが現れないことを祈りつつ、園崎さんのご機嫌を損ねないようにすればみんな幸せになれるということなのかしら。
イエーイ、おねえバッドエンド要員。みんな気をつけてね。おねえの機嫌を損ねるとバッドエンド確定ですよ。何よそれ。シオン、あんたには次は容赦なく痛い目見させてやるからね。 泣いた謝ったって許してやるもんか。待てこら
これまでの物語の謎は全然解けないけど、どうやったらこの物語が大団円で終わるかのグッドエンドの推理はできちゃいましたね。
本当にそれで幸せになれるんでしょうか。大石さんと北条哲平さんの不登場、ミヨンさんのお人形の件、本当にそれさえ気をつければいいんですかね。
Oh, don't worry, we still got 8 chapters left. I'm sure nothing else bad will happen.
そうそう。みんなは一つ大きな最後を忘れてるよ。
I still get murdered, guys, please.
ひなみ沢大災害という天才を忘れたかい？
天才は防ぎようがないですわよ。村のみんなにガスマスクを配って引っ越しでもしますの？
Who says it was natural?
あれはきっとお社様のたたりなのです。だからお社様を怒らせないようにしなければならないのですよ。
なははは。ややこしい話になってきましたね。つまりお社様も怒らせてはダメと。お社様を怒らせないためにはどうすればいいのでしたっけ？
Oh no, give him like a cigarette.
ダムの計画そのものがきっとダメなんでしょうね。ダム計画がそもそもなければよかったんじゃないでしょうか。
それは難しいわよね。
Yeah, that's what the story needs. Time travel, hell yeah. Let's go.
だとしたらお怒りになったお社様を鎮める儀式が必要ね。
鬼ヶ淵の沼に捧げ物を沈めるあの儀式ですね。
捧げ物って何をお社様に捧げるって言うんですか？
そりゃあ決まってるでしょ
Tell me, obviously.
う。どんな分岐にも関係なく話の流れから脱落が確定している人だよ。
I'm ahead of this, baby.
どうせ死ぬならひなみ沢のための人柱になってもらわなくちゃね。
Alright, Katomiki, get in the swamp.
その脱落が確定している人ってやっぱり僕のことかな。
やっぱり二郎さんはこの物語に欠かせない重要な役割の人だと信じてたわ。お役目を立派に果たしてちょうだいね。
これで今度こそグッドエンドの大団円シナリオの青写真ができましたね。せっかくだからちょっとやってみましょうか。役者は全員揃ってることですしね。
Alright, give a doll to Mion. Don't let the uncle Inoshi come to Himisawa until kill Tomoki. Alright, bingo. Perfect end. First, we stop Uncle Hoijo, whose lover ran out on him from returning to Himisawa.
いやー、私が北条おじですよ。はいはーい、行き場をなくしてロンリーブルー。早くひなみ沢に帰ってさとこちゃんをお持ち帰りしてじっくり教育。未来はご奉仕メイドですよ。ではひなみ沢にバイクで帰りますか。キーを入れてカチッとカチッ。
カブー！
成敗！廃人に帰省でございますわよ。
Time to get the fucking pacifist ending. Not really perfect ending.
さとこちゃん、火薬の量多すぎじゃないかな。
I don't think it was enough. Just on my sword. Next, we stop Oshi from showing up.
今度は私ですか。私の名前はクラウド大石。ジャジーでブルースな感じがだいぶイケてるナイスミドルですよ。
ボーン。
そして忘れちゃいけないのがお姉へのアフターフォロー。ささお姉、可愛らしいお人形さんですよ。よかったでちゅね。なんだか納得いかない。
で最後にお社様の怒りを鎮めなくちゃならないと。
Alright, Tomoke, get in the swamp.
では最後のお役目よろしくね。
踏んじばってすまきにして吊るして3日かけて沈めるんでしたっけ。
面倒くさいですからここは一気にいっちゃいましょう。ガボガボガボガボガボ。こ
れにて一件落着。
Alright, boys, we got the perfect ending. The end, we're done. That's it. That's this has been Higurashi When They Cry, and yeah, no. Just... I only wish that was truly the end. No, I don't.
突然レナの腕が光ってうなって大変なことに。獅子類類で大変なことになってますのです。あれ、
Great, now who's calling?
電話だ。もしもし。あ、ケイチくん、お疲れ様です。
おうおう、相変わらず大盛り上がりみたいじゃねえか。こっちは次回の台本読みで相変わらず忙しいってのに。まあいいや、今日の俺は機嫌がいいから嫌味はなしにしてやるぜ。シオンはいるか。もう行っちまってもいいんじゃないか。あれ
あれ、今ここで発表しちゃうんですか。とはいえもうすでに分かってる人たちもいるでしょうけど、まあいいか。
シオンさんとケイイチさんの二人っきりの秘密ですって。何よそれ。聞いてない聞いてない聞いてない。
Okay, Kei-chan, let's say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3. The main character of the next story will be Shion Sona's what?
まあつまりはそういうことです。
Yeah, right. No.
初登場以来ダントツの人気ナンバーワン。姉妹キャラでも遅れ登場した片割れの方が絶対に人気が出るってのはギャルゲー全盛時代から決められたお約束ですし。
わけわかんねえことはどうでもいいよ。とにかく俺はそのシナリオでは主人公のお役ごめん。風の噂じゃ俺のボイスを超えてるとか。
I can actually look at myself.
てっしん、俺の苦労を少しは思い知れ。
まあケイちゃんのボイス数は異常ですから、他のシナリオに入れるようになればすぐに逆転されるでしょうけど、まあ園崎姉妹の実力ってやつをとくと皆さんにお見せして差し上げますよ。
でもいいんですのシオンさん。主人公は毎回ろくでもない最後を迎えると決まってましたよ。
I think everyone in this story just meets with a terrible end, to be perfectly honest with you.
まあこれまではね。でもね、次回からは必ずしもそうはならないんですよね。
日暮らしの泣く頃に水も今回のたたり殺しと外伝の染め写しで一区切り。ミステリアスな謎を次々と提示してきた出題編はここで折り返しになり、次の章からはこれまでの謎に挑み、そしてさらなるドラマの幕開けとなります。
Holy shit, we actually have the halfway point.
つまり私が名探偵になって理不尽な謎をバスバス解決していく痛快ストーリーなわけです。今のうちから決め台詞を考えておかないとね。あなたを犯人ですみたいな。納得いかない、納得いかない。御三家の秘密に近づきすぎて閉じ込められていたぶられて悲惨な最後を遂げる役に決まってる。お姉こそ私に全ての謎と秘密をカンパされて謝罪の言葉を口にしながら自害なされる心の準備は OK です。
お社様のたたりの可能性はなしなのですか？さて、そのしーちゃんが主役の目明かしに進むためには新しい警察資料が必要です。はじめからを選んでゲームを開始すると主人公にシオンが追加されているので、それを選んで進めてください。鬼隠し、綿流し、そしてたたり殺し、この3つのシナリオを重ね透かして皆さんにはどんな真実が見えてくるでしょうか。推理はまとまるどころかますます煙に巻かれていくだけ。
To be honest, I have both.
レナも全然わからないです。
For all of you warriors who've never yielded to these three mysteries and kept on fighting, we present you with one final scenario as thanks for your enthusiasm, one which we'll never originally planned on giving to you. Please enjoy it. Oh boy, what's this? Oh, here I was thinking I was going to start the first chapter of the next chapter. It gets really confusing. And here we are with chapter 4 of Higurashi Baby. Who the main character is going to be? Shion? I don't know. Maybe it was a joke. Who knows? But this chapter is probably going to focus on Wika, held by the house. Well, let's just get right into it. Screw it. This is going to be a long episode. Fuck it. I want to make it up to you people. You want to see like blind reactions? I'm going to do it. Time killing up chapter. Himidatsushi, for you the final mystery. I now entrust you with all the mysteries hidden within Higurashi When They Cry. However comical it may be, if you have reached any conjecture, then you have passed. This final novel is a meager reward for you. Conjecture is impossible. You have the right to reject this story. That's interesting. Damn word again. Possible. This arcs include choices that were added in the console version. These choices result in dialogue changes and can lead to bad ends. Do you want to see these choices? There are actual choices in this fucking chapter? What? Shit. You know what? I was going to say we're going to start this next chapter. But this is actually very interesting. You know what? I'm going to leave it up to you people. Since you know more about Higurashi than I do, should I do these additional choices from the console version? Because does it give me more things or whatever? Or, and how do I collect answers? What? Oh, that's so interesting. I want you guys to tell me. That. So yeah, even though I did say we're going to start this chapter, I want you guys to tell me about this. Should I do these additional choices? And also, if I'm going to do the choices, I'm not going to do the highway. Well, there's auto-saving. Shit, but those could lead me to dead ends. But, that's the fun of choices. But yeah, comment down below if you want me to do these console choices, at all. And, next episode, I'll, whichever wins, I'll choose that one. So yeah, we're going to end it here. If you guys enjoy this type of content, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. Want to tell me something, put it down in the comments below. Want to check out the Discord server I hang out in, or my Twitter, check the description below. And yeah, this has been Voidlego. I'll see you guys next time. See ya!